Depression, or indeed its absence, is rapidly becoming a core political issue. This will undoubtedly be accelerated by the present pandemic. Even before the crisis, the medical-industrial complex saw this field as rife to practice its expansionist policies. That in itself is a cause for depression. Buzzwords like mindfulness were used as if humanity had finally approached the banks of the Rubicon and about to crack the inner workings of the human mind. I speak in past tense because I believe the emerging post-pandemic society we are moving towards will reward the practically minded individual, itself a cause for celebration. Excuse me for stating the obvious, but life is hard. This indisputable fact is in itself not depressing. Conversely, it is liberating to a potentially healthy-minded individual. What is, however, is the realization that most people who ran the previous society hadn't even pondered this simple reality, let alone come to terms with it. And yet these people had more stewardship over our lives than we did. I can acknowledge the legitimate human lust for escapism, but I also understand, on a practical level, sociopaths will use this and other romanticisms to increase their political power, profit margins, social capital, etc. But again, I stress, ancient societies akin to the hobbits, itself morally questionable, never existed. And one could trace this reality back to the primordial ooze from where we came. Depressingly, the world is not made up of good or bad. It is made up of complex individuals in a complex world. Every person could liberate themselves to this profound realization that maybe they have played a part in the perceived evils of the world. One could use this statement as a catalyst to alleviate their personal struggle with depression, but it is still not a cure. Why? Because it is void of fact, one that brings Western philosophy into disrepute. Again, I state the obvious, but human beings, for the most part, are not rational or logical. The internal combustion engine is logical. To a lesser extent, computers. The Borg maybe, but not humans. Historically, civilizations who considered this fact and protected their societies from the wrath of human inadequacies tended to flourish. I can go some way to proving it, for example. Given our present circumstances here in Ireland, although under lockdown, one can exercise within 2 kilometres of their house. Mortgages and rents are frozen for 3 months. Those who can work are only too happy to. Those who can't are paid €350 to do nothing. Outside the pandemic, we are as close to a Marxist utopia as we have ever been. Even if you come down with the virus, free medical care is included. Since there's no end in sight to lockdown, an obese, happy person could use this time to address their physical health, and a depressed, physically healthy person could work on their mental health. This is a golden opportunity for reflection and self-improvement. Is this what we are going to see post-pandemic? Of course not. Why? Because modern Western societies are adverse to fundamental realities. And so for the final time, I have to state the obvious. But individuals are the ultimate authority over their physical and mental health. If this sounds like ridicule, you are correct, but it is directed towards a society that dupes its subjects, not the individual. To be clear, depression is similar to obesity. It is a misunderstanding of basic cognitive mechanics as opposed to the biological, and like body fat, can be successfully mitigated to healthy levels, not cured, if the sufferer is willing to make sacrifices and put the work in. For the most part, people are not predetermined to be obese or depressed. The vast majority of medical professionals would agree with this sentiment in private, but are silenced for fear of losing their jobs by clown society. Ironically and depressingly, this is at the direct expense of that society.